What about nicotine?
So that's something, there's a negative connotation around nicotine.
Yeah. Big time. Hugely, obviously, because of cigarettes.
Right. But if you look at, I mean, I think the vaping literature has made this very clear. It's the smoke itself that's really negative, because even vaping raises your risk of lung cancer, cardiovascular disease. Seems to be a little bit better than like regular cigarettes.
Vapes.
Yeah.
Okay.
They can still raise risk. So it's like people like ask me about marijuana. I'm like, edibles, kiddies, edibles.
Better than smoking.
Yeah, I mean, just smoking is just, it seems
Just
to
the
be not
act
good for
literally
you.
of smoking, period.
Yeah. It appears to be. And listen, I love a good cigar every now and then.
Yeah.
And
oh yeah.
But it's not good for me. I know that.
Yeah.
But people thought, oh well, there's nicotine in this stuff, and so nicotine must be bad. It's only bad in that like caffeine, it's a stimulant. It seems to be a very good nootropic, like cognitive enhancer. In fact, one of my best friends, he doesn't take caffeine because it bothers his GI. But man, he's got a thing of the pouches, and he's always got a Xenin.
Yeah.
So a lot, and as far as nicotine itself, doesn't appear to have much negative literature on it, other than the fact that you can kind of become dependent on it, much like you could become dependent on caffeine. So what I would say is, seems to be a pretty good cognitive enhancer.
Yeah. So it's just like, isn't it more so the way which you are, the application of it, and how you're getting it?
Yeah, and keep in mind, like it was in cigarettes because people liked the feeling that they would get from a cigarette, or whatever.
And also people who smoke cigarettes, like Jacob, my guy, he stopped recently. He thought he looked cool doing it because he fits the vibe. He got the tattoo. He got a snake tattoo, dude. The guy has a snake tattoo, so he's like, I look cool doing this shit. Always trolling for the snake tattoo, but no, but so yeah, because nicotine, dude. Recently, I was joking around, and I was like, I'm gonna get addicted to nicotine to beat the addiction, just because I just wanted something to overcome.
And did you?
So I'm not saying I'm fully addicted to it, but I do when it's around. I guess this is when you start to get addicted. You're like, I don't need that, but I could sure take it.
Yeah.
And it's starting to get there, and I think once I get fully addicted, then I'll reel it back and see how hard it is to get. Is it hard? Very hard to get off nicotine? I'm assuming you don't know.
I don't know personally. Probably just depends. I mean, it's hard for me to get off caffeine, so
that's hard. But I like the mental stimulus in it.
Yeah, and that's why my friend likes it.
It's a different type of. I'm not at all trying to get people, convincing people to take this stuff. Like, I'm not like, trust me, it is an addictive chemical. I know that for sure. But it is different. It's like this like calm, clear sort of focus versus like caffeine. Sometimes to me can feel in higher amounts. It can feel like somewhat like fluttery. Yeah. Like jittery.
Yeah. I'm probably a bad example. Like I've tried the nicotine pouches because Mike's like, dude, you gotta try this. My brain, it's so hard for me to stay on one thing. You can probably tell by the way I talk. I'm like, ooh, this thing and this thing and this thing. And so I'm probably a bad person to ask about like nicotine or caffeine or whatever, because dude, I could take 300 milligrams of caffeine and go to sleep.
Yeah, that's insane. That's like, I can't even drink caffeine past 5 o'clock. I won't go to sleep.
Yeah.
I'm so sensitive.
Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, it probably does. If I did that, I could sleep, but it would impact my sleep quality. Like there's actually some pretty compelling evidence that even though the half-life of caffeine's like 6 hours, that if you have, I think it was something like 300 milligrams of caffeine in the morning, it still can negatively affect your sleep like 12, 13 hours later.
Yeah.
Like your sleep quality. So RIP my afternoon workouts,
Yeah. Have you ever, I know the natty thing, have you ever considered steroids, or would you ever take them?
So I got this question the other day, and it's going to sound very, people are going to be like, oh, bullshit. Not really. Only because I never really had the desire to kind of look like a cartoon character. I like the idea of competing. I like competing, but I had natural bodybuilding and I have, powerlifting drug test. Everyone's like, oh, people can beat the test. Yeah, I know. But like, listen, first off, natural bodybuilding, like there's 5 people in the show and there's no money. So like the incentive to cheat is pretty low.
Very low.
Like if you cheat in that, what
about Logan Paul
seriously
boxing Dylan
question.
Dennis? Incentive to cheat there pretty high.
Oh yeah. And I don't know if he did, but I mean, it's pretty high incentive
pretty
to
high
cheat.
incentive.
Well, that's like, listen.
How easy do you think it is to beat the P test?
It depends on what kind of P test you're doing. And like, are we talking?
This was a
just,
VADA P test.
Yeah. So if it's in competition, pretty easy because you know when to
After
get rid
competition.
of it. If it's random.
No, just right after.
Yeah. I mean, that's if somebody knows if they know when they're getting tested, I mean, my understanding is it's pretty darn easy to beat.
Yeah.
What's nice about the IPF is if you're one of the, a world level lifter, you have to fill out a whereabouts form where basically they can give you an hour notice and show up and piss test you.
Yeah.
And I've had it happen before. So I was actually at a seminar. This is like 2016, I want to say. I was at a seminar in Virginia giving a seminar, and there was a meet next door. And they're like, "Oh, Lane's here. Hey, while you're here, pee in this cup."
Piss in this cup.
And so like, hey, there's no perfect way of doing things, but just that people know that they could at any time, I think that's a pretty strong deterrent.
Yeah.
And they do catch people. But no, for me, it was like, I just want to be able to compete at a high level, push myself, and I can do that without steroids.
You don't think at some point, just health-wise, you might choose that?
So I've had, ever since I've gotten my testosterone done, the lowest my testosterone has ever been was 750. And it's been above 1,000 multiple times when I've had it tested as well. So I just don't need it.
Yeah.
I'm good. And I have a lot of energy. Like, my friend, my best friend, Mike, he jokes, he's like, "Bro, when I'm around you for like 3 hours, I need a fucking nap afterwards." He's like, "You're like, yeah,
Is it more mental energy than physical? I guess that's kind of both.
Both, but like, dude, like I train, my sessions are like 2-3 hours. If I didn't have that, dude, I'd be a fucking nut job.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, I got to get it out. I got to get out. And even like if I'm on the phone, I'm like pacing back and forth.
Yeah.
I'm fidgeting, I'm moving my hands and stuff. I talk fast, So yeah, I think that, I kind of got blessed with a pretty good engine. You know what I mean? But I also took care of myself as well. I talk about that. Like, most people in their 20s, they went pretty hard, where they're partying and, staying up late and stuff. And like, hey, I had my moments of that, but I've literally like, I can count less times than on one hand, the amount of times that I've been drunk to the point where I felt sick or, couldn't form coherent thoughts well,
Yeah.
And so I just never really beat my body up that much. And I always was good about like, if I wanted to go to sleep, I just went to sleep, or if I just didn't want to go out and party with my friends, I just didn't do it,
Yeah.
So I was always pretty protective about that kind of stuff. I joke, I partied way more in my late 30s than I ever did in my 20s.
Me too.
So I think
I never went out ever.
Right.
I've gone out more in the last 2 years than I have like in my whole life.
Yeah. So I think that like that helped as well, and probably a little bit of genetics as well. So, but hey, like, okay, let's say 5 years from now, I'm feeling low energy, my libido's in the trash, and I go and get measured, my testosterone's down. Would I consider it if it was negatively impacting my quality of life? Of course I would.
Yeah.
Like there's no judgment here. Like me choosing to not take steroids is not me saying, hey, all you guys who take steroids, you're all cheaters and pieces of shit. No, like I got plenty of friends who are on TRT or on steroids or whatever that are perfectly great people. Like to me, I don't really what you put in your own body.